So in this question number 115, purines found both in DNA and RNA are option number 1 adenine and thymine, option number 2 adenine and guanine, and option number 3 guanine and cytosine, and the fourth option is the cytosine and thymine. So we have generally seen this in the chapter human genetics. So which among them is the correct option? That is the option number 2 adenine and guanine. Select the correct sequence for transport of sperm cells in male reproductive system. So the first option is testis, then epididymis, then vasa efferentia, then retitestis, then inguinal canal and urethra, whereas the second option is the seminiferous tubules, after that the retitestis, then vasa efferentia, epididymis, vas deferens, ejaculatory duct, urethra, then urethral meatus. And the third option is seminiferous tubules, vasa efferentia, epididymis, inguinal canal, urethra. And the fourth option is testis, then epididymis, vasa efferentia, vas deferens, ejaculatory duct, inguinal canal, urethra, then the urethral meatus. So we have already discussed this in the chapter human reproductions. So I hope you have remembered the sequence of transporting the sperms in male reproductive system. So which among them is the correct option? That is the option number 2. From seminiferous tubule, it will move towards the retitestis, then vasa efferentia, then epididymis, then vas deferens, then ejaculatory duct, urethra, and after that the urethral meatus. So I hope it is very clear with you. This is a direct question from NCERT textbook. Now let's move on to the next question, that is 117. So in this question number 117, match the hominids with their correct brain size. So here all the scientific name of the hominids are given: Homo habilis, then Homo neanderthalensis, Homo erectus, Homo sapiens, and here the brain capacities are also given, that is 900 cranial capacity, 1350 cranial capacity, then 650 to 800 cranial capacity, 1400 cranial capacity. So we have got this in the chapter evolution. So I hope you have remembered that chapter very well. So let's see the answer. Homo habilis, which have a cranial capacity of 650 to 800 cranial capacity, then Homo neanderthalensis, that has cranial capacity of 1400 cranial capacity, then Homo erectus, that has 900 cranial capacity, and Homo sapiens, that is 1350 cranial capacity. So which among them is the correct option? That is option number 3. So in this question number 118, it has been said that variation caused by mutation as proposed by Hugo de Vries are option number 1 random and directional, option number 2 random and directionless, option number 3 small and directional, option number 4 is small and directionless. So which among them is the correct option? We have already got this in the chapter evolution. So I hope you have remembered this. So the option number 2, that is random and directionless, is the correct option for this. Now let's move on to the next question. So in this question number 119, it has been said that which of the following pair of organelles does not contain DNA? First option is mitochondria and lysosome, second option is chloroplast and vacuoles, and third option is lysosomes and vacuoles, whereas the fourth option is nuclear envelope and mitochondria. So we have discussed this part in the chapter cell, the unit of life. So which among them is the correct option? That is the option number 3. Lysosomes and vacuoles do not contain deoxyribonucleic acid, that is DNA. So in this 120 question number, it has been said that due to increasing airborne allergens and pollutants, many people in urban areas are suffering from respiratory disorder, causing wheezing, due to option number 1 is benign growth on mucous lining of nasal cavity. Option number 2 is inflammation of bronchi and bronchioles. Option number 3 is proliferation of fibrous tissue and damage of the alveolar walls. And option number 4 is the reduction in the secretion of surfactants by pneumatocytes. So, this question is directly from the chapter breathing and exchange of gases, right? So, which among them is the correct option? That is the option number 2. Inflammation of bronchi and bronchioles causes asthma, and this causes the person to wheeze. Wheezing, that means a sound which produced while breathing. Now, let us move on to the next question. So, this is the question number 121, and from here you have to select the incorrect statement. So, first statement, that is the male fruit fly is heterogametic. Second statement is in male grasshopper 50% of the sperms have no sex chromosome. And third statement, it says that in domesticated fowls, sex of progeny depends on the type of sperm rather than the egg. And the fourth statement, it says that human males have one of their sex chromosome much shorter than the other. So, we have discussed this in the chapter principle of inheritance and variations, right? So, which among them is the correct option? That is the option number 3 is the incorrect one, because in the option number 3, that is fowl, the male have 100% chances and they have Z and Z chromosome, whereas the female have 50% chances of Z and 50% chances of W. So, option number 3 is the incorrect answer. In this question, that is 122, DNA precipitation out of a mixture of biomolecules can be achieved by treatment with, there are 4 options, isopropanol, then chilled ethanol, methanol at room temperature, or chilled chloroform. So, this is a direct question from the chapter biotechnology, its principle and process. I hope you have remembered that. So, which among them is the correct option? That is option number 2, chilled ethanol is the correct option. So, with the help of the chilled ethanol, the DNA can be extracted from a mixture. So, in this question number 123, you have to select the correct group of biocontrol agents. First option is Bacillus thuringiensis, tobacco mosaic virus and aphids. Second option is Trichoderma, then baculovirus, Bacillus thuringiensis. Third option is Oscillatoria, Rhizobium, Trichoderma, and the fourth option is Nostoc, Azospirillum and Nucleopolyhedrovirus. So, we have talked about this from the chapter applications of the biotechnology. So, which among them is the correct option? That is option number 2. That is Trichoderma, then baculovirus and Bacillus thuringiensis is the correct group of biocontrol agents. Alright. Now, let us see another question. So, in this question number 124, what you can see? Select the incorrect statement. So, the first statement, that inbreeding increases homozygosity, that is the correct statement. Inbreeding is essential to evolve pure lines in any animals. Inbreeding select harmful recessive genes that reduce fertility and productivity. Fourth option is inbreeding helps in accumulation of superior genes and elimination of undesirable genes. So, we have discussed this from the chapter strategies for enhancement in fruit productions. So, first statement that says the inbreeding increases the homozygosity, that is the correct statement. Next, second statement, it says that the inbreeding is essential to evolve pure lines in any animals, that is also correct option. Then the third statement, it says that inbreeding select harmful recessive genes that reduce fertility and productivity. So, is this a correct statement? No. So, what is going to be their correct answer? That is inbreeding select and expose the recessive genes, and those recessive genes are eliminated by selection, and this also help in the accumulation of the superior genes and elimination of the desirable genes. So, option number 3, that says inbreeding select harmful recessive gene that reduce fertility and productivity is the incorrect statement. So, I hope it is very clear with you. You can refer to that chapter for more details. Now, let us move on to the next question. In this question number 125, you have to match the following organism with the products they produce. So, in the first column, Lactobacillus, then Saccharomyces cerevisiae, Aspergillus niger, Acetobacter aceti. And here all the products are given, that is cheese, curd, citric acid, bread, acetic acid. So, we have to match the following organism with their products. We have got this from the chapter Microbes in Human Welfare. So, let us see the answer. So, here you can see all the answer. Lactobacillus, it produces curd. Saccharomyces cerevisiae, it is the yeast which is used in making the bread. Aspergillus niger, which produce citric acid, and then Acetobacter aceti, it is the organism which produce acetic acid. So, this is the answer. Now, let us see the next question. So, in this question number 126, you can see here what is the direction of movement of sugars in phloem tissue. First one is non-multidirectional, second option is upward, third option is downward, and fourth option is bidirectional. So, we have already discussed this in the chapter Transport in Plants. So, what does the phloem do? Phloem move the sugar from source to sink, right? So, that type of movement is called as the bidirectional movement, whereas the xylem, which takes the water along with the minerals to upward portion of the plants, that will be upward movement. So, this phloem, it takes the food material that is in the form of sugar to upward and downward direction. So, the option number 4, which says bidirectional movement take place in the phloem tissue. I hope it is very clear with you. Now, let us see the next question. So, in this question number 126, you can see here what is the direction of movement of sugars in phloem tissue. First option is non-multidirectional, second option is upward, third option is downward, and fourth option is bidirectional. So, we have already discussed this in the chapter Transport in Plants. I hope you have remembered that. So, the phloem tissue takes the sugar from source to the sink, right? And the xylem tissue, it is present in the lower portion, that is in the roots. It takes the water along with minerals and transport it to different parts of the plants, right? So, what is the direction of movement of the phloem tissue? Which among them is the correct answer? That is the option number 4, bidirectional movement. So, the phloem tissue, it moves bidirectional movement to transport the sugars in different parts of the plants, right? So, this is the question number 127. What you can see here? In some plants, the female gamete develops its embryo without fertilization, and this phenomenon is known as first option autogamy, then parthenocarpy, third one is syngamy, and the fourth one is parthenogenesis. So, it is a very easy questions, right? Can you answer it by yourself? Which among them is the correct option? That is the option number 4, parthenogenesis. So, parthenogenesis is the name of that process in which the female gamete produce embryo without fertilization. We have got this in the chapter Sexual Reproductions in Flowering Plants. I hope you have remembered that. Now, let us see the next question. In this question number 128, what you can see here, persistent nucellus in the seed is known as, there are 4 options given, chalaza, perisperm, hilum and tegmen. So, this question is also very easy to you. Chalaza, that is at the pole of the embryo sac, then perisperm, that is actually the persistent nucellus in the seed, and the third one is hilum. Hilum, have you remembered that? that is the portion in the cotyledons, and the next is the tegmen. Have you remembered testa and tegmen? I have discussed about that. That is the seed coat. So which among them is the correct answer? That is option number 2, perisperm. So the persistent nucellus which is present in the seed is known as perisperm. An example of this like beetroot, right? Okay. Now let's see the next question. So in this question number 129, what it says that what map unit, that is centimorgan, is adopted in the construction of the genetic map? First option is a unit of distance between two expressed genes representing 10% of the crossover. Second option is a unit of distance between two expressed genes representing 100% crossover. Option number 3, a unit of distance between genes on chromosome representing 1% crossover, and the fourth option is a unit of distance between genes on chromosome representing 50% crossover. I have discussed this in the chapter Principles of Inheritance and Variations. Have you remembered linkage? Linkage is the linked genes where the crossing over take place, and thereby we have represented as linkage is inversely proportional to recombination, right? So recombination means the crossing over, right? So one genetic map is equal to 1% of crossover. So which among them is the correct option? That is the option number 3. A unit of distance between genes on the chromosome, and it represents 1% of the crossover. So I hope it is very clear with you. Now let's see the next question. What would be the heart rate of a person if the cardiac output is 5 liter? Blood volume in the ventricles at the end of diastole is 100 milliliter, and at the end of ventricular systole is 50 milliliter. So here are the options given. Option number 1 is the 50 beats per minute, 75 beats per minute. Option number 3 is 100 beats per minute, and option number 4 is 125 beats per minute. So we have already discussed this from the chapter Body Fluids and Circulation. Have you remembered the formula of cardiac output? So the cardiac output is Have you remembered this formula? So in the question it has been given the cardiac output. Cardiac output is 5 liter, which is equal to 5000 milliliter, and the stroke volume is not given, but it has given the blood volume in the ventricles at the end of diastole and at the end of systole. So what is going to be their stroke volume? Stroke volume is equal to 100 minus 50, which is equal to 50 milliliter. So if you calculate this by the formula, cardiac output is equal to stroke volume into heart rate. So after calculating, heart rate is equal to 100 beats per minute. So let's see the options which are given for this question. So in the first option it has been given that 50 beats per minute. Second option is 75 beats per minute. Third option is 100 beats per minute, and the fourth option is 125 beats per minute. So the option number 3, 100 beats per minute, is the correct answer. Okay. So in this question you can see 131 question. Thiobacillus is a group of bacteria helpful in carrying out. There are 4 options given below: nitrogen fixation, chemoautotrophic fixation, than nitrifications or denitrification. So which among them is the correct answer? We have already discussed this in the chapter ecosystem. I hope you have remembered the nitrogen cycle. The bacteria Thiobacillus is helpful in carrying out. Which of the following options are correct? That is option number 4, denitrification. So denitrifications carried out by the bacteria Thiobacillus. Right? Okay. Now let's move on to the next question, that is question number 132. In this question it has been said that which of the following factor is responsible for the formation of concentrated urine? Option number 1 is low level of antidiuretic hormone. Option number 2 is maintaining hyperosmolarity towards the inner medullary interstitium in the kidneys. Option number 3 is secretion of erythropoietin by juxtaglomerular complex. Option number 4 is hydrostatic pressure during glomerular filtrations. So we have already discussed this in the chapter excretory products and their eliminations. So we have discussed the process through which the urine get concentrated 4 times by the methods of the Henle's loop, then countercurrent mechanisms and vasa recta. So which among them is the correct answer? That is option number 2, by maintaining hyperosmolarity towards inner medullary interstitium in the kidneys. So I hope it is very clear with you. Now let's move on to the next question. In the next question, that is question number 133, you can see here, which of the following statements regarding mitochondria is incorrect? Option number 1 is outer membrane is permeable to monomers of carbohydrate, fats and proteins. Option number 2 is enzymes of electron transport are embedded in outer membrane, and option number 3 is inner membrane is convoluted with enfoldings, and fourth option is mitochondrial matrix contain single circular DNA complex and ribosomes. So we have already discussed this in the chapter respiration in plants. I hope you have remembered the structure of mitochondria. So which among them is the incorrect option? That will be option number 2, because here it has been said that enzymes of electron transport are embedded in outer membrane. So the correct answer is, it is embedded in inner membrane, not the outer membrane. So this is the incorrect statement. Now let's move on to the next question. So in this question number 134, as you can see here, xylem translocate, there are 4 options given below. Option number 1 is water only. Option number 2 is water and mineral salts only. Option number 3 is water, mineral salt and some organic nitrogen only. And option number 4 is water, mineral salts, some organic nitrogen and hormones. So we have already discussed this in the chapter transport in plants. We know the functions of xylem and phloem. So which among them is the correct option? Xylem translocate, that is option number 4. It translocate water, mineral salts, some organic nitrogens. Along with this, it also translocates some hormones. Now let's move on to the next question. So in this question number 135, you can see here, cells in G0 phase. Option number 1 is exit the cell cycle, enter the cell cycle, then suspend the cell cycle or terminate the cell cycle. So from which chapter it is? It is from the chapter cell cycle and cell divisions. We have discussed all the phases of the cell cycle, right? So which among them is the correct answer? That is option number 1. This G0 phase are called as the quiescent stage, in which the cells do not divide until and unless they call on to do so. So this option number 1, that is exit the cell cycle, is the correct options.